Hi, welcome to Eternal Love of Drama. I'm Linda, and this is a channel where two drama bingers share our very strong and uninformed opinion about Chinese dramas. We don't know much about famous people, pop culture, or the television industry in China, but we do have very strong opinions that we enjoy sharing.
Okay, so for every one of our episodes, we like to give an arbitrary drama award. And this is an award that we pick for no particular reason and award it to someone with some merit, but there's no real criteria or rubric or anything like that. And so what we wanted to talk about this time, per our theme, is just the idea of adoption and adoptive parents. And I think that in a lot of dramas that comes up as a theme, and some of the adoptive parents are really good, and you feel like those kids are really lucky. And a couple of examples are like Si Zui from The Untamed gets adopted by Lan Zan, and it must have been like really hard because the household has like 3,000 something rules, but I mean, to be raised by Lan Zan seems like a pretty good deal. And then I'm also thinking about in the Nirvana and Fire like series where Tingsen is adopted by Jinglong, who later becomes the emperor, but then later he also has, sorry, spoiler alert, an adopted son himself. And that's a solid relation. Those are solid relationships, loving families, so that are very different and contribute to the plot in that way. But unfortunately, that's not always how it goes. And there are some very, very unlucky children who have very, very terrible adoptive parents. So we wanted to give a shout out to those kids who definitely need friends and therapy by giving an award for the kids with the worst adoptive parents. And I'll kick it off because I enjoy talking about this subject a lot, which is Nirvana and Fire. And this award goes to the nicest kid in Nirvana and Fire, Xiao Jingrui, who has the most dysfunctional family setup. Because in the end, spoiler alert, it turns out that his two families that he is sort of co-parented by, neither of those dads are his actual dad, who is like a third person in general. And one of the adoptive dads that he principally lives with, who is his actual mom's or his mom's husband, is a really terrible person that did super horrible things. And that one big reveal during his 25th birthday was probably the most traumatic birthday party celebration that I have seen in all of Chinese drama.
Yeah. I would throw Handsome Siblings in there because
Yes.
both of them,
Yeah.
the family is massacred. They both end up getting adopted. Hua Wuque gets adopted by these two sisters, one of whom is just like super evil, and they concoct this plot to basically raise him his entire life with the goal of killing his twin brother. So
Mm-hmm.
out of like vengeance for being like, because the guy didn't like them. So
Yeah.
he gets like brought up in this like fancy palace and taught like great kung fu and everything, but he is like they're just fucking with him. So
Yeah.
on the flip side, his twin brother Zhang Xiaoyu is adopted by Sida who's like this like 10 like evil people, and in the end they don't turn out to be like so evil, like they are there for them in the end, for him in the end, but also he grows up having them like test poisons on them, like torturing him with their like kind of like weird evil doing ways. So it's
Mm-hmm.
not like the picturesque childhood that some of these adoptees experience.
Yeah, that's right. So I'm gonna maybe get the details of this wrong because I watched this drama a long time ago. But another contender is Yang Kang from Condor Heroes. Essentially, he's raised by the king or the ruler of a foreign country who basically killed his parents so that he could marry Yang Kang's mom, which he does, and that and he turns out to be like quite a character. Who definitely needed both friends and therapy.
Yeah. Sleepless Princess. She's adopted by the emperor after he causes the death of her father,
Yep.
and he isn't like totally horrible to her all the time, but she definitely treats her as his tool because she has this like stone inside her, and that's like really what he's interested in. So Yeah.
Yeah. And I think our final contender is Bo Wang from The Wolf. Yay! Who basically got adopted by the emperor for the soul.
But he's adopted twice.
Yes. Okay, go for it.
No, we go for it.
Well, you're right. So first he's adopted by wolves, which turns out really well because I mean, apparently is very adorable and plays with the puppies, and has this beautiful idyllic life in the woods. And then he's adopted again by the emperor, who basically feeds him poison and uses him as his personal assassin.
Right. But like everything good about him, he learned from his first adoptive parents, who I think are the best adoptive parents, apparently. The wolves, like his like strength, his physical agility, his loyalty, his kindness, from the wolves.
Yeah. So who do you want to give this unluckiest adoptee award to?
I think that's a tough call. Let's see. Well, I think we should give it to Bo Wang because like he has the distinct honor of being adopted twice and having experiencing the contrast between the best and the worst.
Okay. Like it's almost worse because he had great parents, great adoptive parents first. And then he went to,
wolves are the best parents.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the wolf, I think we wanted to do a follow-up. So we had done a first impressions when we had both watched 20 episodes. And I think there was a split decision about whether we would continue. And the reason this took so long is because the split decision was really on me. I didn't really want to watch more. And I only finished it about a week ago. So thanks for waiting to do this review, which I know you've wanted to rant about this for a long time. So
yes, I've been dying to rant about this ending.
Okay, go for it.
But before we get there, I'm going to start with just a quick synopsis in case you have somehow missed this. The Wolf is the story of a boy, Wolfie, who is raised by wolves, and he meets this girl, Ma Zai-xing, who's the daughter of a governor. They fall in love, and she persuades him to come and live amongst the people, only to almost immediately get him caught and hunted down, falls off a cliff, adopted by the emperor, who is like really like excited by his like savage animal instincts and wants to use him as his personal assassin. So he like poisons him, keeps him in this underground dungeon, like tortures him into being part of this whole like assassin crew. Years later, they meet up again, the two of them, and the drama sort of follows their love story and their like sort of struggle to reconcile their roles in the present day politics, their sort of innocent past selves and like love story from their teenage years. So it was made in 2017. It was shelved until the end of 2020, where it was unceremoniously dropped all at once, 49 episodes. And there are various reasons, censorship, drama with actors, that caused it to be on the shelf for so long. And now you can watch it almost everywhere. It's on YouTube, it's on Yoku, it's on Viki, it's on Prime Video. And it is actually like super high video quality and on most of those platforms. So before we go any further, if you haven't noticed, this review is going to contain many, many, many spoilers. So you've been warned.
Well, and this is an interesting warning because usually we try not to spoil ones that we want you to watch, but we feel like it's fine.
I can't. I have to get this off my chest. I'm sorry. Well, which is not to say I don't think you should watch it. I just like there's a lot I want to talk about. So
well, why don't you start with stuff that you liked that was unique about this?
I think that the production value of this drama is really high. It is gorgeous in both with like the video quality is great, but also like because they shot it in like HD whatever numbers, blah blah blah. But the aesthetics and the cinematography are beautiful, and all those like the choreography of the fighting scenes, like it's very dramatic. It's movie-like. It's cinematic, like the way that they shoot a lot of this stuff, and it's really really beautiful to watch. Like colors, lighting, all of it contributes, and it's very pleasing to the eye, I think. And
Well,
there's like a nice contrast with like the
yes.
dark and the light.
And it contributes to what they're trying to tell you in the story. So when you see the Bo Wang going to battle scenes and he's like riding the like horse and he's all of his people are dressed in black, and the music that is played alongside it, you like don't have to say a word, and you know what they're trying to communicate to you about his personality or his army, and you know what you're supposed to. You're like, oh no, this is going to be really bad, just by looking at it.
Yeah. I love the soundtrack since you brought it up. I think the
Mhm.
soundtrack really, really contributes to the storytelling in a really positive way. And it's not just like the actors trying to sing a cutesy song. Like it's really powerful.
Well, it's different too than a lot of other Chinese dramas because it's not just melodious music. They have that like one of the opening tracks has like some weird Chinese rap, and they have one track that has some English. I mean, I don't know. It's just very different.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I think that also the male leads are tremendous. Like they're well cast and they have good characters, that they have good material that they're working with, I think, which always helps. And I think that they both Darren Wang and Xiao Zhan do an amazing job
Yeah.
with the characters.
Do you think it's unfair to Xiaozhan that, or to Darren, that like Xiaozhan got all the attention for this?
Absolutely, because I think
Yeah.
he's so good in this.
Yeah.
And I don't know enough about him. Like maybe he's like not a good actor and he's just very wolf-like, but
Uh-huh.
I don't think so. I think that he's like he carries this drama because he is the main male lead, and he's really, really good.
Hmm. Okay. What else did you like?
So we're gonna talk more about this in our dislike category about the
Mhm.
relationship between the uh,
Yeah.
uh, Bo Wang and Ma Zixing, the two leads. But when the plot is not caught up in that, I think that the plot is really interesting.
Yes.
And like both just like the reveal of past events, secret identities, even the politics is interesting because it goes beyond just like sons of the emperor killing each other for the throne. Like there's a complex like other countries kind of plot that I think is very interesting. So I think that the plot is great, and it's not just
Yes.
about the two of
And
them.
I'm going to add to that. Usually we hate the palace dynamics, but this was so interesting to me because they told the story from both sides. So usually it's like one country is going to beat up the other country, or the other country is beating up my country, and it's very one-sided. But in this, you actually are very sympathetic to both. Like I guess you don't really know much about the Jing country, except that they're this other they're well, you know from the first 10 minutes that supposedly the king of that kingdom is righteous versus the evil king of like the country that our story is first told through. But then you go to that country and you realize that it's actually like that. So it's almost the opposite, where you're very sympathetic to them and you want them to win.
I really like that they gave you this like whole like period in the beginning where they are telling the story from one perspective and they're like painting this other country as the enemy, and then they give you like I feel like it's respectful to the viewer, like it's like
Mm-hmm.
treating me like I'm an intelligent person, because then you're introducing like all of a sudden you go to Jingguo and you're like, oh, like they're inviting me to change my perspective and
Mm-hmm.
to see things from a different angle, and they're like respecting that I have the intelligence to do that. So I really appreciate that about the storytelling and how they present that to you, because even though there is like that teaser of it in the beginning, like you get like immersed into the one point of view, and then they like kind of like shift it and give you the opportunity to see the other side, which I
Yeah.
think you appreciate. That was a surprise for me. What else was a surprise?
Um, I was really surprised that I ended up liking the Yaoji character way more than I thought I would in the beginning. So let's be clear. And you disagreed with me about this anyway, but part of like the unique aesthetic is that the costumes and the set design are just a little extra. And I think that it was a little too intergalactic space for me. But I mean, it's very unique. And one of the most unique things was how they styled Yaoji, who is this sorcery, like kind of person. And she's in jail in this gold bird cage, and she has all of
Underground
the eyebrows of an evil
and
person.
sideburns,
Yes,
extra. Yes.
yes. And she has this super creepy like person that has the like white paint with the like weird, I mean, it's the way the entire thing is styled, you are like creeped out. And you kind of like have this like foreboding whenever you see her because you can't read her. But it turns out she's not one note and she has a lot of stuff
So
going on.
smart. Yes.
Yes. And
I was definitely her biggest fan by the end. So
I wanted to know more about her because I felt like we got like when she's hiking in the snow,
they
I'm like,
teased
tell
it.
me
Yeah.
more, tell me
They
more.
teased it. They were like, she's like, this is the place where I'm from, but I'm the last of it. And then that's it. Like, you don't get to know about it.
But
So,
I wanted to know.
and you can sort of like guess because that emperor sort of has like collects orphans.
Yep,
He's
yep.
maybe killed their whole families and, but anyways, yeah, you wanted to know more about her because I think that she could have been like, she was a great character and she could have been an even better character. So,
Yes, yes.
should we move on to things we don't like?
Yeah.
Let's save the ending for the ending.
Okay.
But like, I do think that we just, because they belabor it so much, I am going to bring it up again that like it is like so tropey and so unoriginal to have this constant like, I'm gonna be really horrible to you because I love you, like to push you away. And like they just belabor this for so long, and I could have done without most of the 20s, the episodes in the 20s, because it's just him being so horrible to her, both like verbally abusing her, like totally gaslighting her, right? She knows that it's him. She saw him, like she was like really really good friends with him, like they spent so much, she knows what he looks like, and like he just totally gaslights, it's not me, like for so long. And then like, and this whole thing is he's trying to make her stronger so that in the end she does the same thing to him, and it's like,
Why?
Don't normalize this. So that is,
Yes. And I thought like the 20s were terrible because of this. But even in the end, he still does it. And I'm like, why have you not learned that this is not the only way? And
well,
don't make this about
the conclusion was that he brought her along to do it back to him, like, which is not what you want in a relationship.
I mean, I know. So we ranted about this quite a lot in our other one. So we're not gonna. I don't feel like we need to rant about it again, except that it's like
bring it up again. That is because we had gotten to 20, and then all of the 20s are this,
Yes.
So, I think another thing that I want to bring up is that Ma Zixing is such a disappointing heroine to me. And I don't think, this is not a knock on the actress. Like, I think that this is the character. And she, in the beginning, she's so smart. She comes up with that whole plot about the mountain and the like spirits, right? And like, she's so smart, and you think, oh my God, she's like so charismatic and kind and smart. And then she's just like this like passive, crying, holding on to the past, like being like letting this man treat her in this way person for like episodes and episodes and episodes in the middle. And you're like, and then it's not until like the very end that she like musters some badassery, and it's like, how did you go from this?
Yeah, I was also disappointed because I think part of that is like her inability to move on and to acknowledge that time has passed and that they are
Like
two
people grow
different
up.
people.
Yeah. And
And so
shit
she's
happens.
unable to accept people into her life. And the best example, obviously, is she only wants Lang Zai. She doesn't want Bo Wang. And so she's unable to accept that he has like different responsibilities other than just playing with butterflies in the mountains. And so I was like really thinking about this because in our last thing when I was ranting about this, you were telling me that you think that I have like 2021 values and I'm imposing them on her because you accused me of not appreciating her loyalty to her friend in the past. You
I think,
did.
yes, but this is what I mean by that. I think
Okay.
that there are people who find this kind of like, oh, I'm sacrificing my own happiness so that you can be, and the way that I'm doing this sacrifice is to be mean to you so that you don't have to be with me, right? To push you away. And like, I think that there are people that find that romantic.
Okay.
I have to think
I
that
believe
that's
you
why they
because
make dramas like this. People love
yes,
these dramas. So somebody thinks that this is like an epic romantic gesture.
yes, someone does, not me. And I'm reviewing this, so I get to
Well, that's what I'm saying though. Like this appeals, this type of relationship must appeal to people.
Okay, so I'm going to bring this up only because I've already brought this up. This is so I like racked my brain after I rewatched our episode because I was like, am I wrong? Like, is that actually like virtuous? Like, do most like is it possible to have a different scenario? And it reminded me of Princess Nihong, who is, I guess, my favorite princess and one of my favorite female characters. And she goes and she digs up this Mei Tangsu's past, and she's like, I need you to tell me if you are Ling Su or not. And she's relentlessly pursuing this. In all the weird tropey ways too, where she's like grabbing at his arm to be like, where's your scar and stuff like that. In the end, he's like, okay, it's me. But she doesn't have this, and he says to her, we can't go back to what it used to be. And she's like, okay, so tell me how like Princess Nihong of today can support Mei Tangsu of today. And
Well,
that's it.
Bo Wang says that to Ma Zhanxing in the cave. He's like,
Yes.
that person doesn't exist anymore. We can't go back.
Yeah.
And she doesn't, it does
She
not register.
doesn't get it.
Yeah.
But like Princess Nihong does. And of course it doesn't end well for them either. But I mean, I don't
Not
know.
in that kind of way, not because of their own machinations of their relationship. So I'm not saying that I agree with it. I'm just saying that like this is a virtue that some people hold, which is
Yes.
has to be the reason that drama after drama after drama has this trope. Although this is like
Extra.
extremely belabored. Although I don't know if this is worse than Love in Between because they like at least they don't stab each other.
Stabbing.
There's
But
no
I'm just saying,
poisoning.
make more Princess Nihongs and less of these like weird
Yeah.
things.
Because you thought, like, I think the worst part of it is that you thought she was going to be smart and like whatever, charismatic and kind, and then like she disappoints.
Well, she also disappoints because it makes her unable to have a proper relationship with Jisung because I actually feel bad for him. He is so kind to her. And she gives this weird speech where she's like, okay, the oranges are not as sweet and they're smaller, but these are the oranges that we have. So let's just eat them. Okay, I'll marry you. What is that? Like sloppy seconds are better than
Please
starving
don't
to death.
marry people that call you the less sweet orange.
That's smaller. I mean, what
Unless
is
they
that?
have something you really want. But be clear about your motivations and be clear with that. Be honest with them about your motivation.
So I felt like like if she would have, instead of doing that bizarre analogy, actually really said like, hey, like sitting here next to me is this person that I may not be head over heels in love with, but given like whatever century China, that's probably like the fact that he's not abusive is like a win. And like maybe I can make a life with this person.
Who's my really good friend.
Yeah.
Anyways. All right.
Moving on
What
from
else?
her.
What else didn't you like about it?
I thought the acting was a little uneven, and I'm thinking specifically about the fourth prince. Now, I think that his story was really interesting. The whole thing with the persimmons, oh my goodness, like that was like good. But it's just like everyone, because like the other leads were pretty good, he sort of stood out as someone who overacted it a little bit. And I get that in the beginning he's meant to be like petulant and young, but I never saw him fully grow up. And I thought with the persimmon thing that he would maybe have like
Well, they
demonstrated
say that
maturity.
he does, right? They try to like everybody else is like acting as if he has,
Yeah,
and then in the end he's still acting in the same way until like the very end, but he's not acting, they're just narrating what's happening.
right.
So I agree. He's not, he kind of sticks out, unfortunately, in a cast of pretty good actors
Yeah.
and some pretty excellent actors. So
Okay.
great.
Do you want to
I
talk
think
about the ending? Or
really quick, I think that the other thing is that it's really obvious that there has like the editing and censorship has like taken things out. And I think that there are moments where it's pretty obvious.
yeah.
But, and now we've arrived at the ending.
Okay.
It's horrible, right?
Yes.
Am I right? It's a horrible ending. Like I have a list of things that I hate about this ending.
Okay, please go down your list. I know
And
you've been wanting to do this for weeks.
I do not think it's the same thing. I feel like, okay, first of all, obviously, spoiler alerts, we're going to talk about the ending. I think that people were upset because they wanted a happy ending. I did not even want a happy ending. I just want to clarify, like, I just don't like how it went down. First of
Okay.
all, Jitong, why did he go? There was no point in him going. And based on like your experience of him, like he has great martial arts skills, he's really smart. There is no way that his attempt would have been such an epic failure.
Yep.
Um, and it was just unnecessary. They just wanted him there so he could watch her die.
Well, they also needed the plot device because the thing cracked his little jade piece from Bona.
Which brings me to
The
the
next.
most
Okay.
contrived and chemistry-less
Yes.
relationship that they force on you in the last minutes of this show. Like, why? You know who if she was going to end up with anyone, it should have been the fourth prince, because they had
Oh
that
yes.
like,
Yes.
but
That's true. That is true.
they were trying to give him another consolation. First, he's the consolation prize, and then they try to give him another consolation prize, and that just is not how it works.
It's unfair.
So it is, and it's like so dumb. Like it's so
Yeah.
dumb that they try to get you to buy into this.
Okay.
This couple doesn't even have a song, so you know they're not like, it's not happening. I don't like how she died.
Okay.
I fully believe that she obviously was going to die. And like I enjoyed her like taking the poison, becoming like super badass, like doing that, like, you know, the wolf flower, whatever, so she could like have his like amazing fighting skills, rushing in, killing hundreds of people like in her wake. And then she just gets like killed, you know, like I just feel like she shouldn't have, she deserved better. It was not epic. And she was epic in the last two episodes. And I had waited for 40 something episodes for her to be amazing. And then the way she died was very disappointing to me. Yeah.
Okay. Not to go back to how she's like not a badass in her non-badass times, but I think that there were some like plot things related to like the conclusion that were really rushed and that made no sense. And the key thing is her divorce from Jitong. Because it was such a big deal. They had to get married, and they got married the next day. The next day they got married. And then suddenly he's like, okay, and we're going to get a divorce.
And then it was fine. Like all those reasons like suddenly like disappeared, you know, like.
Yeah, and everyone's fine with it.
And it's the same reason. So it's the reason being like her family army, like they believe will follow whoever she marries. And that's the same reason that the emperor of the other country had wanted her to be engaged to Bo, but he was fine with her just being engaged to him. And he was planning to kill her all along. So why would she need to marry? She's already like claimed the identity of the like princess of the previous Jin dynasty. So like, why would she need to marry him? It didn't make any sense. And then she does it.
And then she got divorced, and it also didn't
Sort
make any
of.
sense.
They just said they didn't really get divorced. They were just like, oh, you should just be with him because you love him. And then they were like, they went and like lived in a hut for a day or 2 or 3.
But then she decides that she's going to marry him the day before, like right before she like goes to battle.
Right,
and
but only to like
why
to drug his wine.
But why even bother?
I don't know, man.
So she gets like she gets 2 fake weddings with Bolong, right? So the one pretend one, and then the other whatever one where she's drugging him, and then she gets 1 real wedding with Jisung. So I mean, like, she just gets married a lot. Maybe she just likes wearing red dresses.
I mean, Sleepless Princess got married a lot.
She did, and she also got divorced a lot. Okay, so maybe this is a thing in Chinese culture. Is this a thing?
I don't think so. No.
Okay. So that really bothered me.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah. What else?
I mean, I feel like I already told you a lot of what. Okay, so you have one more thing that's on your list, so you should just get it off your chest.
The ending, so it's sort of related. So my thing related to what you're talking about is that like in the last few minutes of this drama, in the last few minutes of episode 49, like they just try to like rush through all this sort of like not really acting, but like sort of pantomiming narrative, like wrap up of like everybody's happy ending, except for them obviously, but like it's just so painfully cheesy to me. Like a happy kids orphanage, like it's just, I can't. It's so cheesy, and it's awful. I don't like it.
I didn't like it either, and I don't know, but like I kept thinking, as like when we talked about how we were going to review this, I kept thinking, well, what would I have done to make the ending better? And I don't know, because I didn't want to watch the ending because I just didn't care at some point. I think that the point, I mean, I just didn't care.
Like it ends when she dies. Like what's all that other shit for, you know?
I don't know. So this is overall how I felt about the drama. Like I feel like it was definitely very unique. And I'm not upset that it exists or that we watched it. Because like to your point earlier about the entire aesthetic and how they brought everything together, from the costumes to the cinematography to the music, the way they told the story was fantastic. And the story itself was actually really interesting. But I don't know if it was because they were handicapped by like censorship or some weird editing, but there were things in it that I just thought like they were just handicapped by, and it could have been really great. So this is like, I was thinking like, this is like when you're watching a baseball game and it's the bottom of the 9th inning, the bases are loaded and the score is tied. And like, what do you want your hitter to do? So if he hits into a ground rule double, you're like, wah, wah, I won. So you'll take the win. But like, you would have preferred to watch what would have happened if the ball would have remained in play. Maybe he would have hit a home run, right? Or maybe it would have been like something really exciting, or maybe he would have grounded out and you would have gotten like extra innings out of this. I don't know. But like, it sort of felt like there were some things that inherently handicapped it. So all of the perfect pieces that were in place couldn't actually deliver on this Grand Slam home run.
Yeah, I think it had a lot of things going for it, and it did feel like it was manipulated in post-production. And I read that there were a lot of supernatural elements that had to be removed, that and I think that the plot suffered. And I think there's so many good things about this. Like many parts of it were enjoyable to watch and interesting. And I don't know, maybe if you didn't watch the 20s, I would have, like, all of the missing things would still have been missing, but I would have enjoyed it more had I not just spent like 10 episodes watching them abuse each other, or mostly him abuse her. yeah, I mean, I think that it's good, like, and it could have been great.
I just couldn't cheer for them as a couple.
No.
And I know you're supposed to because this is like the story, their story. But if it was, so the one thing I came up with is, okay, I cannot cheer for them as like a couple at all. But I have also a hard time cheering for her and Ji Tong as a couple because she's not open to it. And so why force that? I think
Yeah.
like what if the story was just about like Lang Zai, like Bo Wang and like his life and he was the main center. So it almost was like the entire story was told around like her. What if they told the entire story around him? I feel like that would have been way more interesting, especially because in the end, he does kind of become friends with Ji Chong. And I think that's also a really interesting and surprising turn of events that could have been explored more. And I don't know.
Yeah, I think that if you think of it about it as his story and his struggle to like reconcile his past and present and future, like it is an interesting story about him. But yes, there was a lot of like her experience that just like she was of the three leads, she's the weakest character. Like she's
Yes.
the least interesting character. And so, and the most passive, which makes you like in a drama, I think if you're a passive character, like stuff is just happening around you and to you, which I think is the fate of many women in Chinese drama, which is unfortunate, but like, yeah, I think that was unnecessarily centered. And yeah, so basically, like it could have been great. I think this drama really could have been great. Um, and I don't regret watching it. I think that, like tremendous performances from Darren
Yes.
Wong and Xiao Zhan, right? Like that Jisung character was really, it was complex. It was interesting. He goes from being this like mysterious, carefree wanderer to like, the Prince of Jin to like, so I think that he, uh, welcome back to Dramaland, Sheldon.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that I would recommend this drama with those caveats, that it's a little confusing because it suffered from some editing and censorship, and the female lead is a little bit disappointing, and there's a lot of
That
like, and
relationship.
I would skip the 20s.
Okay. Great. So that's our review. Probably you'll disagree with us, but whatever.
I know. I feel like people wanted a happy ending with them, but like, how can you have a happy ending when you spend like so much of your life like abusing each other for your own good? Like how do you come back from that? Maybe
Well, like
people
in
are
love,
more
you
forgiving
have a
now.
little you have a little kid, like in Love in Between, and you mysteriously recover from your illness.
Yeah.
So
So
here's to the better dramas in the future that are well made, have great plots, interesting character development, strong female leads, functional relationships, maybe some happy families.
yeah, is that so much
2021.
to ask? But you know what? Like take yeah, like this is so much potential. So
Yes,
anyway.
so much potential. All right. Well, thanks for watching our review. If you liked it, let us know, or if not, let us know. Why not? Until next time.
Bye. Hi,
Sorry.
welcome to Eternal Love of Dragons.